Anthony Scaramucci, Trump's new communication director, spoke to the BBC, and he mentioned that Donald Trump is not an elitist. He's not. And then the back and forth that followed him making that claim, it's hilarious. Let's watch.
So here's what's going to happen.
Donald Trump is not elite.
We're going to move on.
The business side or the politics side or the inheritance side. What part of Donald Trump? Many people in the UK don't understand that.
There's so many things about the
president. He's a celebrity.
How about
He's
the
a billionaire.
cheeseburgers? How about the pizza that we're eating?
Everyone eats cheeseburgers and pizzas. What are you talking about?
See, you're coming across a little bit elitist, so let me just say something to you, okay? I grew up in a middle-class family, okay? We had virtually a tight budget and little to no money. I spent 30 years of my life trying to get into the global elite so I could stand here and serve the president, and I missed the movement. You know why I missed the movement? Is I tunneled myself into elites, and we had this circular conversation about what was going on, which was completely wrong.
Donald Trump is not elite, then. He's not an elite.
Oh, very much so. He's both. He knows how to operate in an elitist world, and he has unbelievable empathy for the common struggle that's going on with the middle-class people and the lower middle-class people. He has something that, frankly, I don't have, and it's embarrassing to me to admit it to you on a live television show, but I missed the movement. I grew up in a middle-class family, and I didn't size the economic desperation that was taking place in my hometown.
Okay, a bit of good news.
He showed it to me.
There's so much of that I love. So first of all, his original argument as to why Donald Trump is not elitist is the cheeseburgers and the pizza. Oh, really? You're telling me he's elitist? Have you seen his diet? He eats cheeseburgers. He eats pizza. Like, what? What? That's your argument as to why he's not elitist? Look at the food he eats. So what, is every, elitist, are they eating caviar off a Himalayan orphan's back? Like, what? Like, what the fuck are you saying? Well, he eats pizzas and cheeseburgers. Tremendous. So, obviously, he's not elitist. I mean, look at his diet. Yeah, no. You can you can still be a massive insider and an elitist douchebag and, eat like that, of course. So that's a weak argument to begin with. But then what people aren't mentioning about this clip is how Scaramucci contradicts himself. So he goes, I grew up middle class. So he's basically arguing, look, I wasn't elite. I wasn't elite. I tried to work my way into the global elite so I could serve the president. I grew up middle class. And then a little bit later, he talks about how I grew up middle class, so I didn't know the economic desperation of a lot of people. Wait, so which is it? Because you originally argued, hey man, I wasn't elite, so like that's, I can relate with the president. I know he's not elite, and we know the pain that's going on around the country. That was the first argument he made when he said I grew up middle class, and the second time he brought it up, it was in the context of I was out of touch because I grew up middle class, so I didn't know the desperation many people had who were below me on the economic ladder. So at one point he argues he's not elite, so he can relate, and Trump can relate to regular people. And then the next breath he's like, no, I did grow up middle class, but I was elite enough to not feel the pain of people, and Trump opened my eyes to it. Again, so which is it? See, this is the fucking hallmark of people who are con artists and bullshitters, is that they'll like casually contradict themselves, but in a way where unless you stop and think about it, you won't realize that they just contradicted themselves. And then, of course, the best part is he goes from arguing, well, Trump's not elite, cheeseburgers, pizza, something. He goes from that to, soon as she pushes back on him, and credit to her for doing that, because she did it in a great way, a solid way, he goes, no, he's both. You're telling me, she's like, what part of Donald Trump is not elite? What part of him is not elite? I mean, he was born with a silver spoon in his mouth. His daddy had multiple hundreds of millions of dollars. Donald Trump himself is wealthy. He's the fucking president of the United States. He's got Goldman Sachs in his administration. He's been making decisions that hurt the American people. What part of him is not elite? What part of him is not elite? Well, yeah, see, what had happened was he's both. He's not elite because cheeseburgers and pizza. He is elite because he's elite, but he can feel the pain of regular people who he's screwing over. Scaramucci reminds me so much of just guys I grew up around. Guys I know, He's got that, like, classic fake straight shooter thing going on. Trump does too, by the way. Trump does too. He's got, the way he talks makes you think, oh, that guy's got to be, you know, telling me the truth, no filter. We're going to make America great again. Believe me. Let me just tell you. Scaramucci's got a similar thing going on. Like, look, I know a guy over there, and I can get you a deal. You want a deal? Sells amazing vehicles, used vehicles, but great used vehicles. Never had a problem with any of them. And then you go, you know, buy the thing, and it falls apart when you pull out of the lot. That's what Scaramucci reminds me of.